Mariners lose 6-3. They fall to 20-17 on the season. They've now lost 2 of the 3 of a 4-game set with the Minnesota Twins. Go over the scoring plays as we always do. First inning, Twins get a couple of solo homers. Carlos Correa takes George Kirby deep to center, and Trevor Larnach takes Kirby deep to right center, 2-0. They get another one in the second off Kirby, a Willie Castro homer to right center. By the way, all 3 of those pitches were smoked. 3-0 at the end of 2. Mariners get on the board in the 4th with a Mitch Garver homer to right. That makes it 1-3 or 3-1. Just kind of depending on your perspective. 4th inning, Willie Castro triples to right. Scores Jose Miranda to make it 4-1. Mariners get 2 in the 7th. Big dumper doubles to center to score Haniger, and Julio just missed being a game-tying homer, but alas, 4-3. And then the Twins are able to get a couple more in the 8th. A doubles off of Cody Bolton from Ryan Jeffers to score Edouard Julien, and Max Kepler to score Ryan Jeffers. 6-3. Mariners lose. Frustrating game that is disappointing after the fun that they had, especially over the last 3 innings on whatever day it was. Tuesday, I guess. Yeah, today's Wednesday. Let's go over some positives. A couple guys had nice offensive days. Julio, 3 hits. Nice to see. I think he's gotten on 3 times the last 2 games. We like to see that. Still not driving the ball, but had some hard contact today. We will take it. Mitch Garver with the solo homer, Oppo Popo, draws the walk as well. 3 reaches today. Take that. Josh Rojas with a couple of hits, a couple strikeouts too. You see him against left-handed pitching, and oof magoof. That's pretty much it for the positives on the offensive side. Pitching, congrats to Kirby Snead for the scoreless inning in his Mariner debut, and he also becomes the 1,000th Seattle Mariner of all time. 1,000th player to appear in a game for the Seattle Mariners, which is a lot. I can probably name 400 or so, give or take. It seems like 100 of those so have happened in the last couple of years. So that maybe makes it easy. But Snead did a good job. Trent Thornton did a good job. A couple pitchers did not do a good job. Well, we'll get to that in the negatives. But first, I do want to thank Simply Seattle. They provide the very best in Seattle sports gear. Awesome stuff for the Mariners, Seahawks, Kraken, Storm, Sounders. You can find it all at Simply Seattle. And once you find all your goodies, use code MOLLYWOP15 at checkout. It takes 15% off your order. It shows you're paying attention to the show. And I know they appreciate it, and I know I appreciate it. So MOLLYWHOP15. If you're like, hey, how am I going to remember that? There's a link in the description that has that code and a link directly to the website. It's awesome stuff. Thank you so much, Simply Seattle. All right, George Kirby, who only throws 70 pitches in this game. I saw Scott Service talking and looked a little perturbed by the question. Sorry, Scott. That's a totally fair question to be asked right now. Why did George Kirby only throw 70 pitches? And he gave a decent answer that, they're playing the long game and that, you got to keep him healthy. Flat out, George Kirby wasn't very good tonight. It's funny. I actually missed the first 2 innings of this game, but I had to go pick up my dog's ashes. So real fun day. Real fun life. So while I was doing that, I had to do that before they closed, and, it happened while he was pitching. So I was kind of like, do I need to rewatch this thing? But no, I saw the highlights of the homers. That's enough. Control versus command. It's great to throw 50 of 70 pitches for strikes, 49 in this case. That's 70% strikes. That's very good compared to the alternative. But the command was bad. And all 3 of those homers were shellacked, mollywopped, clobbered, crushed, any type of whatever you want to put on it. They were bad pitches, and the Twins took advantage. I think my buddy Nate told me that they hit about half a mile of homers today. And I'm not sure if that's hyperbole or not, but there was a lot of long drives for the Minnesota Twins today. And this is what keeps Kirby from being a bona fide ace. There's just enough of these starts where he catches too much of the plate. And when you catch too much of the plate and you don't have 70 great offerings in your secondary, you're going to get hit. The one thing I want to see from George Kirby going forward is I want to see him test the strike zone more. I want to see him nibble. I don't want to see him become Gilmesh, who was notorious for nibbling and was just terrified of challenging hitters. Had a decent career, but just would not challenge dudes. Challenge guys, George. Or I just completely erased my own point. You know what I'm saying. Go wider. The thing with George Kirby too is you want to talk about a pitcher that's earned the benefit of the doubt. Is any pitcher earned the benefit of the doubt more for strikes than George Kirby? I don't think so. Test it. Test it. Go wide. Get some hitters to chase, because the other thing about George Kirby is when you know strikes are coming, you know you got to swing the bat. So you can make some foolish swings happen. I'm not going to go too crazy on George Kirby because he's been, at times this year especially, phenomenal. And he was great in 2023 and he was very good in 2022. He's a really good pitcher. But if we want to see George Kirby reach that ace status, he's got to be a little more willing to throw pitches outside the zone. Effectively wild. That has to happen sometimes. He's really good. I have a lot of confidence in him. But there's just enough of these to make you go, oh, okay. There's still stuff to work on. I think he'll reach that level too. But tonight was kind of a reminder that, oh, okay. And also baseball's hard. You're not always going to have it. But you can't go middle. You can't just challenge hitters. A walk every once in a while is okay. Don't want to be too harsh on him, but tonight wasn't good. And Cody Bolton wasn't good either. Had some, I'll give the Twins credit, some pitches in on the hands they were able to turn on. He just doesn't offer enough deception for me to trust him. And while that wasn't necessarily high leverage down by 1 in the 8th inning, it does change things quite a bit when you give up those 2 runs. There was no way in heck Minnesota or Seattle was going to score 3 runs off of Durant. That guy is nasty. Nasty pitcher. So those 2 runs, while it doesn't matter if you really lose by 1 or if you lose by 20, it changes things. No question about it. Offensively, Ty France is scuffling. He is scuffling. 240, 301, 331 from your starting first baseman. What do you want me to say? Dylan Moore, really tough game. Polanco gets a hit, but another very mediocre offering. We got to talk about Mitch Haniger. And I take no pleasure in this, obviously. And Haniger does draw a walk and he scores the run. Good for him getting a good break on the double from Big Dumper. Who outside of the double, Big Dumper struggled today too, but that was a big double. Big double for Big Dumper. A beady. I'm really not having a lot of fun watching Mitch Haniger play baseball. And there's a couple reasons for that. The most obvious reason is because he's just not very good right now. And I hate to keep hammering this point home. Yes, it's only a sample of 37 games, but it's more than that. Because Mitch Haniger was a well below average player for the San Francisco Giants last year too. And while Mitch Haniger, I believe, is 33, no, he isn't. Not in baseball years. He's not 33. Watching him play right field in particular, though, as mediocre at best as the offense is, it's even rougher. And you signed Mitch Garver to be your designated hitter, and justifiably so. Justifiably so. But counting on Mitch Haniger right now to not only hit in the middle of the order, but be your everyday right fielder, that looks really bad right now. It looked bad at the time to me too. My hope was that Mitch Haniger was going to be a platoon guy. Hit sixth or seventh, play 115 to 120 games, give him lots of days off to keep him well rested. But you're hitting him fourth. And, he did have a good game yesterday offensively. He hits the long homer. He gets the big sac fly to give you a little bit more of a cushion. But the overall Mitch Haniger experience has been an awful one. I don't think anyone can disagree with that, even if they are the biggest Mitch Haniger fans in the world. But I just look at this team and I watch the starting pitching shove for weeks now. And, they've had a little bit of scuffles lately. But I look at the corners of this team. And by corners, I'm not talking cornerstones. I'm talking the corners. I'm talking first base, third base, left field, right field. I feel pretty darn good about third base right now. Through pretty close to a quarter of the season, I feel pretty darn good about it. Left field, right field, and first base. It's not good enough. It's not even close to good enough. And my biggest issue with it is I'm not sure how much better it's going to get. I guess you can argue it can't get much worse, except for defensively. But I can't count on these guys being much better offensively. I can't. I want to pull up Ty Francis' Savant page, so give me just 1 second. So a lot of people have brought up Ty Francis' Savant page to me on the Twitter machine and some comments and talking about how unlucky of a hitter he's been. And I'll give you the full numbers here. His expected batting average of 274 is in the 79th percentile of hitters. His expected slugging of 441 is in the 68th percentile of hitters. His average exit velocity of 90.5 is in the 75th percentile of hitters. His hard hit percentage of 47.1 is in the 78th percentile of hitters. And he's connecting on the sweet spot 42.5% of the time. That's in the 90th percentile of hitters. So what those numbers tell you is that Ty France has been just extremely unlucky. That there's just loads of hard contact that hasn't been rewarded. I'm sorry, I'm watching Ty France play, and the numbers are what they are. They're not made up. They are, I don't want to do, you guys ever go to the website Rotten Tomatoes? You see the percentage of stuff there, and some of my friends seem to think that percentage is somebody made up a number. No, it's an aggregate number of reviews. If there's 100 reviews and 65 of the critics deem it positive, then the Rotten Tomato number is 65%. You can't make that up. And you can't make up what Ty France has done in terms of those Savant numbers. But similar to a movie where I disagree with the critical score, I just am not seeing it. I'm not seeing it, and I'm watching him also provide no value with the glove and no value on the bases. And the same thing for Mitch Haniger. Let me pull up those numbers for you just for okay, Mitch Haniger's numbers. Expected weighted on base average of 302 is in the 39th percentile. His expected batting average is in the 32nd percentile at 232. Expected slugging is slightly above average at 400. Average exit velocity of 89.2 is slightly above average, 53rd percentile. He's barreling the baseball above average at 8.4%. His hard hit percentage of 47 is well above average, 77th percentile. And he's not swinging at pitches outside of the strike zone. 21.7% of the time. That puts him in the 82nd percentile of hitters. Those aren't bad. They're not great, but they're not bad. But you watch Mitch Haniger hit right now, and I'm sorry, the eye test does not match the metrics. And you also have to keep in mind, especially with Haniger too, that he got off to a rip-roaring start. And those numbers are baked into these numbers too. You know? I'm really worried about those two guys. And then you combine it with a left field that just isn't very good right now. The third of your lineup, folks. All the confidence in the world of Julio being a star, of Big Dumper being a well above average catcher, of JP Crawford coming back and at least getting on base at a nice little clip, or making pitchers work at the very least. And then Jorge Polanco's just has too much offensive track record for me to write him off yet. But you look at Haniger and you look at France, and not only are they not passing that eye test, they were bad last year for the overwhelming majority of the seasons. And I feel bad because I know that there are a lot of Mariner fans, from the casual to the diehard, who love these two players. But the more I watch them, the more I think, the more I'm getting confirmation, really, is what I should say, that they aren't answers. I'm going to do a video for my OY subscribers. And by subscribers, I mean the members only stuff, looking at players in the American League that they need to target from each team, one player from each team. And there's going to be a lot of outfielders on there. There's going to be a lot of relievers on there. There are going to be some first basemen. It's more in the National League for the first baseman, and I'll do that video too. But those two guys in particular, on top of just the ultimate, well, I don't know, in left field, I'm worried. I'm worried. It's awesome that the Mariners are 3 games over 500, right there for first place in the American League West, when you have massive question marks about a third of your lineup. And it could be more. It could be more. But those two guys in particular, two guys that have been extremely successful at the highest level, in particular Haniger, they're guys that I hate to say it, and it's not like I haven't said similar things before, but you got to look at moving on from. And you got to look at moving on from them more earlier than you probably think. Tomorrow we have, I think it's Gilbert against a pitcher for the Minnesota Twins named, oh yeah, it's a good pitching matchup. Pablo Lopez against Logan Gilbert. Pablo Lopez should be a Seattle Mariner, by the way. Oopsie daisy. Please hit like, please hit subscribe, please hit join if you're at all interested in the stuff I just talked about. Sorry, this video is 20 minutes. I try to keep them 15 or so, but I just had to rant a little bit about how concerned I am about those two players. Let me know in the comments if I'm a crazy person.